Hi there, this is Art and Such, and today I'm going to show you how to make a three-dimensional interlaced dream catcher using two hoops. These are 10 inches across. You can use whatever size you'd like. For this pattern, you're also going to need some leather or suede glue and something to apply it with, some scissors, a needle with a wide hole, and a form of thread or yarn. I'll be using a waxed straw-colored thread, and you'll need approximately 3 meters or a little more for each of the hoops we're weaving. So a total of 6-7 meters, and you might find you have a little bit extra, but that's like at the end left over, but that's better than not having enough, right? And if you're using a different size of rings, you'll want to shorten it a little or add a little to it. You will need leather wrap strips, pieces as long as you can find. And you want them to be of a consistent thickness throughout, although you may want them to be thinner, all your pieces to be thin pieces or thick pieces, that's up to you. Mine I'm keeping at about close to 1 centimeter across. And what I like to do, I think it looks a little cleaner, is trim the ends so that they come down at a slant. And that's on both sides of each piece. Okay, what else do we need? We're gonna need feathers. Now I haven't picked my feathers yet because I haven't decided which center bead I want yet. I'm gonna pick when we're closer to the middle. I don't have any more navy blues to go with my wrap, so I'm thinking brown or white. And once I decide that, I'll grab my feathers. And you also, I would recommend, if you're doing the feathers with me at the end, come up with some small pony beads or decorative beads we can place on to hang them with. Just have a quick look around, see that we've got everything. The one other thing I would say is good to have is a couple of twist ties, and that's because in just a minute we are going to attach our hoops together, and they like to pop back out, so the twist ties can help to hold it in position. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. So you're going to take your 2 rings and we're going to push one through the other kind of perpendicularly. Hold this up to show you in just a minute here. And you want it to be even enough that you can turn it and see it balanced on both sides. This always takes a little bit of adjusting. I would recommend, if you've got some twist ties, you can put them around the intersections to hold it a little firm to start. Now I showed you some navy wrap in my kind of intro there. I decided to switch to red. The navy isn't gluing very well. So this is how we start there. You're going to take a little bit of your glue, put it on one of the joints. Take one of your pieces of leather wrap, place it on, and we're going to start wrapping it around that intersecting spot, but keep a hold of your first piece. You want the glue to dry really well. So I'm gonna kind of circle it about a couple times, make sure I cover that first spot. Now hopefully your pieces are really long, and they'll keep going the whole way around, but if they're not, don't worry, I'm going to show you presently how to attach a new piece. Now this glue I've got takes about 40 seconds to dry. This is being held in place by the wrap that's gone over it, so I'm not too worried right now. But you can put a twist tie over this section if you want to while it dries, just to be sure. Oh, and I did forget to mention one other supply, which is a clear nail polish. I like to put that on top of the thread at the end. I find it keeps it secure without making a mess. Let me turn this around and I'll show you how we're going to wrap this. So what we do is we pinch the top, bring it over, through, line it up. You can overlap them, but this looks a little bit neater, I think. Pinch the top, pull it through again. We keep going until we meet the other side. My twist ties are definitely not strong enough for this. That's okay. I will secure it a little better when we get to that point. So we're going to keep wrapping. It's got a little spur here. I'm going to fix that really quickly. Now, pretty much all the supplies you see here can be attained at an Aboriginal craft store, at certain beading stores. Some of the larger department stores will carry a leather glue. Some fabric stores, beading stores, you can find a lot of these things. And if all else fails, look online. I've also found many things at garage sales and secondhand stores. And you can play around with different sizes of beads and charms as well when you're making your dream catchers. This is just one style, one format. I do have a video tutorial out. I'll get this on the same playlist. It's doing the same pattern but using 3 rings. So it's a little more complex, but it looks really, really cool. It's worth the time it takes. Okay, so let me show you here. If your pieces are not very long and it runs short, I know my rings are out of place here. We'll fix that in a bit. But yeah, if you need to add some extra thread, we finish off the one piece by putting glue on the end and pressing it down, and we're going to wait, like I said, about 40 seconds to a minute for it to really, really dry. So you want to hold on nice and tight. And you'll see if you take your finger off too soon, it's just going to start springing back up. And that's how you'll know that it's not quite dry, when it's a little tacky and it's sticking to the piece and it doesn't want to move. You'll see it goes a little bit flatter. Then you know you're good. So sorry, you gotta wait with me here. It won't take too long. I am gonna show you the next little part of the wrapping, and then I'll have you do some of this by yourself, I'm thinking, because this might take a while. You don't want to watch me sit and hold pieces while glue dries. So when that's in pretty secure, we get our next piece. I'm trying to find one that's kind of long. This one will do. And we're going to attach it the same way we finished off the first one. So this is our second gluing holding piece. Once more, you can wrap your new piece over the old piece if you want to. That is one way to hold it in a little bit better. I'd like to put the new piece on top of the other, but it will look a little bit lumpy. And another thing you can do is, again, while it's really, really drying, you can throw a twist tie on again. I think I'm going to go back over just once to hold that in a little better. Like I said, it's going to make it a little lumpy, but maybe I won't. See. You have to watch out, certain metals and certain materials won't wrap together nicely. This is not wrapping together nicely. I think I am going to have to go over a little bit. We'll keep wrapping. I'm still kind of holding this because I don't trust it yet, but it's okay, we'll do our best. And we keep going. I might have to do some adjustments or switch my wrap up again. I'm not sure why my glue isn't working today. This is really funny because I did this like on Wednesday. Today's Saturday. I did this on Wednesday with someone and we had no problem with the wrap holding, but my glue wasn't working today and I'm using the same glue. So I know sometimes if you get a ring that is extra clean, or maybe the opposite, it's got something on it, sometimes it doesn't stick as easily, but like I said, we'll do our best. I think I missed the point I wanted to attach this. Okay, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. this off camera just for a second. Okay, so the reason I'm backtracking is because I have come to the next joint. So what we're going to do is wrap it around again. And we want to get it on the inside too. We want to try not to make it too thick though. Keep it nice and tight because we're still going to have to wrap from the other direction as well. And at this point you can wrap down, you can wrap forward. You might find yourself with some half pieces you'll be wrapping, that's okay. We're just going to keep it going. And this will be a lot sturdier when we get the wrapping from the other side. So I'll finish off this piece and then I'm going to take a pause and I'll finish this on my own and let you finish yours on your own at your own pace as well. And of course once we start weaving, that's going to tighten up the connection too. And this piece is a little more narrow. It's okay. And the nice thing about this leather glue is it doesn't really show up when this is all done. So I'm going to hold this for a while and add the next piece. Let me take off my twist tie and I'll hold up my camera just to show you what this looks like so far. Okay, so keep wrapping and I'll be right back. We'll continue in just a minute. Okay, so once you have everything wrapped and you've trimmed off your excess wrapping pieces, you can put your glue in your wrap and your glue stick, all of that on the side, and you're going to get your waxed thread ready. Make sure you're in a clear, clean space. Things will stick to this a little bit, and it is a little tacky to the touch to begin with, but it'll get less tacky as you go. You are going to pick one of your joints, and what we do is place your thread underneath, bring it over the top, and you're going to tie a knot. So cross one side under the other, bring the small end over and down through the hole. We actually want to try to get this so that it sits on the inside. So you can knot it on top and then pull it through, or knot it on the bottom. And I'm going to knot it right over the last piece I used because it's coming loose, it's coming loose. Okay, we're going to do a second knot and a third knot. And don't worry if there's a little bit showing. We're going to cover this part up at the end, and we can also use some clear nail polish, which I'm going to do that right now while I remember. Place it on to the knot, and that will help it to kind of harden there. Okay. Find the end of your thread. It's a long piece we're starting with. It will get shorter as we go. And find your needle. Put the far end of your thread through the needle, and you're going to pull it until you've got about half of the thread through. So a meter or so, 1.5 meters is sticking through there. Okay, turn to any side. However did I do this the first time? I'm trying to think how to get this all on camera here. Is that a better angle, perhaps? Okay, so this is what our knot looks like. We're going to bring the thread across, and we've created a hole here. So the needle will go over the side of the ring and back up through that hole. And you pull everything through. and shift it into place, because right now it's kind of loose, so you're going to have to tighten it and place it. What we want to do is have it come about 1/3 of the way across, or maybe a quarter of the way. So we'll move it over just a little bit. I'm pressing it back through just a little to loosen it up, and then pulling it tight. Make sure it's not moving the leather wrap around. We're going to hold it here and repeat. So the next section, we'll bring it across, put the needle over, back under, and through. Those of you who have done a Dreamcatcher before, this should be looking familiar. In fact, if you have done a Dreamcatcher before, I can tell you right now what we're going to do for the first piece is do a standard Dreamcatcher right through. Okay, so we've done 2 of these. We're going to do 2 more on that side. So bring it halfway through the remaining section. Take your needle and pull it over and back under through the new hole. So it's going to come back on top of the piece you pulled over. Shift it, line it up where you want it, and tighten. And for this last one, we are going to bring it to where the first joint is. So I'm trying to get you a good view here. So we're going to go straight to that joint, and we'll put the needle over and back under and back through into that hole, into that space. It's going to sit right next to that first knot, or that first lump of leather at the joint, I should say. Okay, let me show you what we've got. And then the needle is going to go inside. So, where did it go? Where did my needle go? There we go. So we want this whole thread to come under the ring and through to the next side. And we're going to do another knot right on the other side of that joint. So the needle is going to go over and under and through, and it stays inside the new hole. We're going to move it up, 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 and pull tight. And I'll hold up the camera for you again. So it went underneath, and then we made a new knot right next to it, and we're going to continue along and do another 4 knots going along this section of the ring. So again, just going to cross. The needle will go over, under, and back through. Stuck on my camera. Got the lousiest little tripod here, but it works for most things. This is one of those tutorials that is hard to do with a lower sitting camera. We're going to find the next space, bring it over, the needle will go over, back up, and through. And if you feel, let me get this through and then I'll show you. So this will sit in the middle of that section of the ring. See, there's the middle, one side, the other side. Now you might find that you're pulling more tail through than of the thread than the rest. You can scoot the thread through the needle until it's a little more even. Okay, hold this tight. Next section. Try to keep this as tight as you can as you go. And as even as you can. So I can see this piece is a little smaller than that one, but I don't have as much room. So what I'm going to do is loosen this up a little bit. Loosen it up a little bit, shift it over a bit, pull tight, come back here and pull tight. This is still too loose. Tighten it up some more, tighten it up some more. And we're back to that first joint. We're going to go across, over, under, through. Just like we did on the opposite side. Maybe you're starting to see where this is going. Now we're going to bring the needle and the thread through, underneath and through. While I'm knocking all my stuff down. Okay, so this has gone under. Now you're going to find that first little section you did, segment. How is best to show you? You're going to stick the needle through here, and it's going to come back underneath and back through. So I think I just have to show you. The needle goes through, and it's going to come back under and back towards you. So you can see we made another hole when we put it through, and it's going to come back out through that hole. You want to pull it tight and center it. Okay, this next one you might be able to see a little better. The hoop isn't in the way. We're doing the same thing. We're going to go through the next hole. I'll go all the way through this time so you can see. And when I come back, I have a new space that I've made. I'm going to come back into that space. And you can see that I'm still pinching, I'm still holding tight to the last section. I found it kind of funny when I started learning how to do dream catchers, because I've done friendship bracelets since forever, basic macrame, and this is pretty much the same knot but at a different kind of angle, I guess, or in a different sort of context. We're going to keep going around this dream catcher same way. So you go through the hole and come back through the new hole. And when you get back to the next ring, you're going to go underneath it and through. Because if we don't do that, I'll show you what will happen. If you don't go underneath, you're going to get something like this, where it's going to get tangled around the ring, the frame. You don't want that. We want it nice and tight on the inside, because we're going for a flat center dream catcher, and then we're going to be connecting the other one from the other direction. Like, we'll be going across this way after. I'll just show you what happened here. My thread sort of got stuck around the hoop. If you feel it sticking, just pull it back over and back towards you. You can do it really gently, really easily. Make sure you're pulling everything tight as you go. You don't want it flopping back and forth, because that will look really rotten in the end. You can always go back and retighten an earlier section. Oops. Sorry about that. Now, you don't have to use a bead in the center. If you are using a bead, I would suggest a larger bead for a larger set of rings. You can also put smaller beads through along the way. There is a way to hold them in place and a way to leave them loose. I'm not going to get into that in this tutorial, but I'm sure there are other videos out there that will give you some ideas about doing that. Okay, under the ring, bring it through, and find the first section underneath. Put your needle through. Hold this up so you can see where it's going. So So just to the right, there's a little hole here, it's going to go through there. And you'll find that these get a little tighter as you go. So now it's through, you'll see there's a new triangular space here. You're going to bring your needle back from the back to the front through there. You don't have to pull the needle through every single time, like all the way to the back. You can just stick it through and bring it back, but if you're more comfortable doing it in the 2 steps all the way through and all the way back, you certainly can. Might be helpful if you're just starting out. And we're going to keep going. If you're getting bored here, feel free to jump ahead or pause it while you do this section by yourself. Just tune in when we're close to the middle, because we'll give you some pointers about adding the center bead. Although again, if you're already a pro Dreamcatcher maker, that might you might already be ahead of the game here, and that's fine. Try to keep these as even as you can in the way, so right in the middle of each section you do. Under the ring, through the next section, and back. Center it, turn it around to the next part. We're going through, we're coming back under. And you will see as you get closer and closer to the center, the spaces will get smaller. But you should have lots of thread and enough, and a thin enough needle. I'm sure that it will fit through pretty much to the end. Just for the record, I am using straw colored thread here, but you can get wax thread that is black or comes in other colors as well. At least I know there's black. But if all else fails, you can do this with wool or a different material. I'm just going to work quietly for a bit, but feel free, like I said, to jump ahead or to try some of this on your own as well. Yeah, this has a way of just tangling and everything. You're also going to find as you get closer to the center, those rings are going to feel more and more in your way. But it's okay, you can work around them, it will be alright. Just, take your time as you need to. Now, this is getting hard to reach, so I can go through one of the other holes and pinch it through there. Under the ring. Pinch through. So this is again what I mean. If you can't reach all the way over to your section, go through one of the inner pieces to grab it. You can also see, I didn't mention this before, like I said, I hope you can see it as I go, is that it's helps if you're turning the hoop as you go. You can see my tail's getting kind of long there again, so I'm gonna pull my needle out a little further. But yeah, with each section you go under, give your hoop a little turn. You're probably just doing it by intuition anyway, but yeah, you'll see it makes it go a little more smoothly here. we just keep going through, so through the hole, make a new hole, come back through your new hole. Adjust and tighten it in the middle. We're starting to get close here. Let's hold this up for you, what we've got so far. It's starting to come together, right? Back under the ring, tighten it up. Through the next one, center it, tighten it. Now you can see I'm really pulling into the middle here, because as we're getting close to the center, we want it as tight as we can get it. This is where we're pulling everything towards, so if the center is loose, then you really got a problem. Every time the ring's in the way, I just make sure it's coming under. We're almost there. This is the part where you usually get an itch on your nose or a hair in your eye and your hands are tied up holding tight to sticky wax thread. But like I said, we're almost there. I mean, of course, you can let go for a minute if you need to, but you might have to do some retightening after, so it will sort of stretch back just a little. Pull that needle back again because it's getting too close. And I'm almost where I want to be. As you're coming to the center, I'm not sure how to describe this. When I put my bead on, I don't want it to skew to one side. So let me do a couple more and I'll kind of show you what you want it to look like when you're getting your bead in. I guess I'll just kind of show you now as a counterexample. If can I get this closer? Here is my centerpiece. You can see there's kind of more done on the top right and not as much on the bottom. I'm going to keep going a little further around so that the center part is all even. I'll show you what that looks like too. Just get this through because, like I said, you want your center bead to really be in the middle. So if you're needle is kind of at the bottom space and it's only gone around half of a segment, and that's not so good. Yeah, now it's getting tricky to get in here, and we're not even at the hard part, but we're doing just fine. I think one more. Okay, so I'm gonna try, I decided on red. I'm gonna try sticking my bead through and just see where this lines up. That's pretty central. So what we can do then is we're gonna come through the bead, string it on, press it in, and then we'll go through underneath. And you really want to get it as straight as you possibly can here. So go under one of the spaces underneath, bring it through to the back side, turning this around for a minute. On the back side, we're going to go back up through the bead and come up at the top and secure it in again. So now we go through one of the spaces on the top. And we'll go right back through. So back down, turn this to the other side. And we're just gonna sort of sew it on a couple times here. This one has a really large hole, so I'm gonna go through quite a lot, and I also wanna make sure it's showing the same on both sides. Nice and tight. Back over, back through, going down. And when you're feeling satisfied with where it's sitting, I'm going to go back one more time. What you can do is, make sure I'm on camera here, go under a piece, and when you come back, you're going to go through the loop of the thread. So bring it through, and then you've got this new loop of thread. You're going to come back through it. Pull that tight here. Hold on. Something went funny there. Let's make sure I'm on the top side before I do that. Okay, because you could see my thread was showing up on, on the other side. Okay, so let's try that again. So we're going to go through a thread on the same side the thread has come through, and then back through the loop. So I push the thread through, I've got this loop, I'm going to pull it back through and pull it tight. Push it down and repeat. So go, and I've got two of these, so let me pull the tail of that thread through so it's not quite as thick and messy looking. I'm going to show you one more time because I want to double knot this anyway. So we're going to go through one of the threads, the same one if you can, and it's going to go through, and then you've created a loop here while you're pushing it in. So this is the loop of your thread, and you're going to grab it and pull it back through. We put on some clear nail polish. We're almost ready to start on our second hoop. Just dab a little bit on. You can trim the thread now or leave a little tail on it. I think I'm going to trim it right now. Okay. So let me show you what we've done so far. We've got our wrap on, and we did a dream catcher facing in one direction with a bead in the center. And in just a second, we're going to start on the opposite ring and interlace the two pieces together. Next part, you're going to trim, prepare your next piece of wax thread, same length. Let's go back to where we did that first knot, and we're going to tie a second piece on. And let me do this so this goes on the bottom this time. Wrap it around the joint. Gonna tie it in a knot here. You can see it's harder to get to now, so you know what? You might find it easier to do it on top and then swing it over. One knot. Knot it 2 times. And one more for good measure. Carefully pull it until it's under. A little clear coat nail polish, nail hardener. It's harder to get to here. Okay, there we go. Let's give that a second, and I'm gonna trim it a little bit. Find the very end of your piece, and you're gonna put the needle onto this piece of thread now. Just had the end ready to go. If you're having a hard time getting it through the needle, you might have to switch needles, or you can trim the end, pull it through part way. Again, we're going about halfway down. And we're going to start it off the same as we did the other section. So go to one side. I can get this pointed up a little more again. And we're going to bring the thread across, put the needle over the ring and back through that hole. We'll divide that first quadrant, first segment section into 4 pieces again. Okay, so there's the first one. Might have to adjust it a little as we go, as we did the first time. If you're really hardcore about this, you could always actually measure it out and mark it down. Ah, my glue got in there. Ugh. Yuck. And my twist tie. I so don't have enough space here for this. Okay, let's bring that in towards the middle of that ring. So we've got 2 there. I might even them out a little bit more. Maybe move that in a little bit. And we'll go through one more time there. This is something I actually really like to do outside, because then, I mean, there's nothing to get anything caught on. And the last one is going to sit right next to that joint. So over, back under, and through. It's getting stuck on my ring, so we pull that out carefully. And I'm going to move the needle down a little bit as well. So I'm moving the needle closer to the end because I've got a really long, like a longer tail than what I want. Now we're sitting like this, just on the inside. We're going to go underneath and come up on the other side. So make sure that whole string is going to go right underneath that first wrapped section. It's going to go through that first space of the first ring you did. Let me bring it through and then I'll show you again. Okay, so it's gone underneath and it's coming through that, I'm not even sure what shape that is, from the first piece. And we're going to come over the ring and back under and through, and it will parallel what we just did on the other side of the wrap joint. So nice and tight. And we're going to come around this side, just as we did on the others. trying to get my camera in place without it catching on the thread there. Okay, so here we are. We're going over, we're making that hole and coming back under and through. Put it in the piece where you want it to be, and you can rotate your hoop, untangle this from the camera again, and come through for the next one, and we'll continue to go around here. Need to adjust this so they're a little more even. By now you're probably starting to get the idea here. I'll keep showing you, and I'll invite you again if you think you got it. Feel free to move a little forward into the video. One more on the closer side of the joint. And I've got a knot in my thread. I'll have to deal with that in a second. Where did it go? That is one thing I like about this stuff, is it doesn't tangle too easily, which a lot of other threads do when you've got this long thing. And it's not too hard to undo in general, though this one looks kind of nasty. Okay, I think I'm going to pause and get this sorted out, and I'll be right back. And moving on. Okay, so this time we're going to go through under again. Show you where my needle's going here as best I can. So I've pulled it straight through under the ring and into the space created from the Dreamcatcher that's going the opposite direction. And we're going to put it through the first ring on that, or first section on that new piece. The needle will go through and come back under and through the new hole. So it goes all the way through. I feel like this one's a little bit loose. I'm gonna get this a little tightening. So pull, pull, pull. So that's because I had to let go there. Pull, pull, all the way back around. Just give each of them a little tug, and that should help us out a bit. And once we've put the needle through, we're going to come back through the space we created, so as we've done every other time. Center it. And then we're going to put the needle through the next piece, and it will come back through the new hole that we're going to create. So it will go into here, downwards, and then back up through there, upwards. We're repeating what we did before. The only difference is that as we go around, as you've seen, we have to cross under the pieces, the weaving that's already in place from the other direction, like from on the other rings. I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit here. Thread is starting to get a tiny bit shorter and a tiny bit more manageable. And that will continue as we get more central. So on the next space, let me put it through and then I'll show you where it's gone again. When we're back at the top, we are bringing it under and through the middle section of the hole created in the weaving of the first side. And then we go through the next loop and continue to knot around. This is pretty much how we're going to do this the rest of the way until we secure it in the middle, but I'll stay with you here. Pull my needle down closer to the end again, partly because it's getting tangled and partly because my tail is too long. And keep going. Now this time you're going to have to look for the next space down and go under the next space. This one looks kind of like a diamond here. Needle, push it through. So it has gone under, it's gone through, and we're going to make a loop through here and come back through the new space. I'm still holding on to the last place that we put our thread. So I want to keep everything nice and tight wherever we're going on this. We're almost at the next time through here. So same thing, you're going to look for that kind of diamondy shape or the next empty hole where you can get a straight line through and push it through. You do want to get a piece that is lined up with the joint of the hoops. So you can see this is right in line with the center. And it's going to go through that middle piece. You actually have an option, you can skip that piece or go on the middle piece. I think I'm going to try it both ways. I'm going to try it this way first, see how that goes. Okay, so I went through this piece and then I just centered it out a little bit. But you might even find, I'm thinking I want to do this on one side and then the other, so I'm going to backtrack a minute. Sometimes this is, you know, something you can play around with a bit. You gotta be kidding me. Now, you know, as soon as I said this stuff doesn't knot easily, then we start having problems. This isn't really a knot, it's more of a little tangle though. But that being said, I am gonna adjust where my needle is sitting once more. So anyway, I'm gonna come back to the first side and do something similar to what I did on the first joint. I'm gonna make a knot, I guess, a stitch on the closer side. Let me put this in place and then I'll hold up the camera for you. So I'm coming around on the close side and I'm going to do a knot over this piece. And then I'm going to bring it under and do the same on the other side. So then I'll go through. And this will kind of even it out. And on this side, I'm going to go through the same piece and back under and back through. And bring it in really close. Really, really, really close. As close and as tight as I possibly can. Now if you're finding this is too crazy, like I said, you can just go straight under and go to the next piece, but this is what I've done. I knotted it once on the first side, put it through and knotted it once on that side, and then pulled the pieces tight and the knots tight together. I'm going to keep going around, so in through here, come back out from under. And incidentally, what I just did there in that crossover centerpiece, that's kind of how you would attach a bead, except you would stick the bead in between. And doing something like that, double knotting, I guess you would say, on the same piece would get the bead to stick. So you would put in one, put your bead on, and then do it again on the same section, but just a piece further. And that's if you wanted to have smaller beads along the way, or for future reference, for future projects. Okay, now again, I'm going to go through once on the close side. Okay, like that. And I'll pull that tight. Actually, this one can just go right under, because this doesn't even line up perfectly. So I'm going to go through under the next space, which is closer to the bead. I think that will be okay. I don't want it to dip too low. I'm so sorry about the camera. My tripod really kind of sucks and I keep trying to get it steady, but I have to ask for something new for my birthday, I'm thinking. Okay, and also I'm moving it around, also makes it a little more movie. We're going to go through the next one, and we're just going to keep coming around the same way until we get close to the middle.